up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Don't stop now. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna mountains to how we can climb it. Feelings will take in the moment. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now.
Starting now, we're breaking out, but I'm not leaving without you. This could be our one chance. We'll send a postcard when we're through. We'll get there together. We'll get there together. I'll meet you at the starting line. Don't you ever leave my side. We'll get there together. We'll get there together. If it takes all day or night, hand in hand we'll both arrive. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. You wanna see the sunrise, starry nights and endless seas. We're writing our own story. Let's go and make this what it's meant to be. Let's scream it out. Let's go and make this what it's meant to be. We'll get there together. We'll get there together. I'll meet you at the starting line. Don't you ever leave my side. We'll get there together. We'll get there together. If it takes all day or night, hand in hand we'll both arrive. Do you feel your heartbeat? Do you feel the warmth beneath your feet? 'Cause you're standing next to me. Do you feel your heartbeat? Do you feel the warmth beneath your feet? 'Cause you're standing next to me. Yeah. 'Cause you're standing next to me. Oh, we'll get there together. We'll get there together. I'll meet you at the starting line. Don't you ever leave my side. We'll get there together. We'll get there together. If it takes all day or night, hand in hand we'll both arrive. Yeah.
see the whole world shaking, and you feel your heart is breaking. Take my hand, no hesitating. Oh, when you're just so tired of trying, all alone you feel like hiding. Together we'll keep fighting. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Don't stop now. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna mountains too high we can climb it. Fearless, we'll take in the moment. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Can you see the sun is shining like a new hope? Feel it rising, coming over the horizon. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Don't stop now. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna mountains too high we can climb it. Fearless, we'll take in the moment. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Don't stop now. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna mountains too high we can climb it. Fearless, we'll take in the moment. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the JDRF My Ride celebration presented by Livongo. I'm Tim Ryan, and just like so many of you, I'm home today, just like I've been every other day for the past few months. But I'm excited to get on my bike to ride for JDRF tomorrow, and I'm honored to be your host for tonight's brief program. 22 years ago, I found out I had type 1 diabetes, and it really turned my life upside down. But I endured. I learned to live with T1D, and I moved on with my life. I continued to build my career. I got married, had 2 beautiful kids. But then 15 years ago, I was on a business trip, and my wife, Michelle, called me to say, hey, that our son, Duncan, who was 2.5 at the time, was sick. And then came the words that I never, ever, ever wanted to hear. And she said, I think he's sick like you were. I could handle having this disease, but the guilt and the anger and the frustration of giving it to this otherwise perfect little boy was really hard to overcome. And then unbelievably, Duncan's older sister, Caitlin, was diagnosed with T1D later that year. So while 2020 has been a crappy year for all of us, 2005 was still the crappiest year in the Ryan family. Perhaps the only good thing about coming out of that year was that I re-engaged with JDRF. And in 2008, I did my first ride in Tucson, Arizona with my brother, and I was immediately hooked. To be able to do something I love, cycling, with people I love to help ease the burden for the future of an entire generation, well, it's just the perfect match. And even though we can't be together to ride this year, we can still be together in our quest for a world without T1D. As for my kids, well, they're doing great. Besides the insanity and uncertainty that we're all living with and of remote learning, they're in high school and college, and they're making me proud every single day. So I owe a lot to JDRF and the entire T1D community. And that's why I keep raising money. That's why I keep getting on the bike. And that's why I'm here to celebrate the JDRF ride community, share some stories, and get you psyched to ride for JDRF this weekend. Now, if you've been around the JDRF ride program as long as I have, you've met some amazing people, and some really talented people, and some really passionate people. And one of those guys who's amazing, talented, and passionate is John Meadley, a coach from Wisconsin. During the lockdown, he decided to learn to play the ukulele. And then he decided to write a song and record a song about the JDRF ride. And we decided that you absolutely needed to hear it. So ladies and gentlemen, Mr. John Meadley. Take it away, John.
Got the news in early May that ride was gonna happen another way. Got to be honest, I'd have to say that kinda sucked. We did our best, came together and rallied. We missed everyone with no lacrosse or the valley. The ride experience community, but right now the world's in flux. Ride look different this year. On ride day we're at home, zooming out here. Ride weekend will be good, don't you fear. I promise we've been building up and storing up and getting ready to give out virtual hugs. Since 2003, at least for me, this has become a family. We did this thing virtually, we raised the donations. And if you need a rallying cry, remember this group's got tenacity and answer the question arm high, awkwardly across the nation. Ride look different this year. On ride day, we're at home, zooming out here. Social distance training, oh my God, oh my dear. And we've been building up and storing up and gearing up to give out virtual hugs. It's no secret that we love ride. The national staff can take a pride. And I'm a bike, I love to fly. It's been a weird year, but we did it. We did our training and tracked those miles. Took lots of pictures of our smiles. Hashtag bike face for the files. Strung together, we've got spirit. Ride look different this year. On ride day, we're at home, zooming out here. Ride day will be awesome, I have no fear. Cause we've been building up and storing up and gearing up to give out all the gearing up and storing up and building up to give out celebratory, awesome, big, virtual group hugs.
See, I told you there was talent hiding in the JDRF ride community. Costume changes and coaches as backup singers. Brilliant. Thanks so much, John. We'll look forward to your upcoming tour dates. Please keep us apprised. We'll be hearing short messages from other talented members of the JDRF ride community tonight, so keep an eye out for some familiar faces. The pandemic has affected every corner of our world and every person at JDRF, and that includes the man who has been at the helm of the organization through all of it. He and his brother got together to send a special message to our ride community. Here's the president and CEO of JDRF, Dr. Aaron Kowalski.
JDRF Riders, it's Dr. Aaron Kowalski, JDRF's president and CEO. For all of our veterans, for our first timers, thank you. This weekend is going to be amazing. While COVID is here and it's been so hard, you all have been logging thousands of miles and raising precious resources to push our mission forward. While COVID is impacting us all, it still hasn't stopped T1D. T1D goes on. In fact, unfortunately, right around the corner, one of our neighbor's sons was just diagnosed at age 17 with type 1 diabetes. I can't thank you enough for leaning in and supporting us. Now, my brother Steve and I'm the oldest, Steve is second. You know, we both have T1D. I'm a runner. He's a cyclist. We're competitive. But, you know, he has been a tremendous supporter of JDRF. Oh my God, here's Steve. He's pulling up on his bike. Go figure. Steve, you're a huge JDRF rider. What is it like to be in the rides and support JDRF?
Oh, absolutely amazing. Sadly, this would have been my 10th ride, I believe. I'm losing count. Done quite a few over the last 6 years, I guess it's been. But one of the greatest weekends of my year. Look forward to it so much. The volunteers, the fellow T1Ds, all the people who are giving so much money and so much enthusiasm. You know, one of the guys who's at the ride every year talks about drinking the Kool-Aid, and it's no joke. It's really just an incredible event where the support is overwhelming. And to see Saratoga, my favorite ride, there were 600 people there 2 years ago. And, you know, just couldn't be better. And my thing is always, he mentioned being competitive. Sadly, Aaron doesn't ride bikes because I think I'd kick his butt if he did. But my goal is to always be at minimum the fastest diabetic finishing, even though it isn't a race. But it's always nice to see when I go out hard on those rides, there's other diabetics riding with me who are not held back. And thanks in great part to T1D funded research, I can do a 100-mile ride in less than 5 hours and be looking at my watch every 5 minutes to see where my blood sugar is. Got the automated pump now, which is monitoring my blood sugar. So I've seen firsthand what I'm doing in the rides now wouldn't have been possible, at least not nearly as easily 10 years ago or even 2 years ago, thanks to the research and the funding that happens through these rides.
So I wonder if I put on the ride jersey and Steve put on the run jersey, who would be faster? We might have to do it. I know the riders, you want me out there, I'm gonna come out one of these days, I'll get up on the bike. But until then, thank you so much for leaning in, for supporting JDRF, for driving our mission forward. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron and Steve. Steve, have a great ride tomorrow. And Aaron, we're going to get you out on a road bike one of these days. But like I said, COVID-19 has affected our world in so many ways we never imagined. And it also affected some of our JDRF ride family members too. Utah's Kimberly Ishoy is a veteran JDRF rider whose stamina has helped her cross the finish line and whose heart has earned her the Spirit jersey. She would need both to conquer the most challenging battle in her life when she was diagnosed with COVID-19 in early June. She started in one local hospital where things started to look better, but then things took a turn for the worse and was transferred to another facility in their respiratory ICU. She was terrified to learn that they were considered putting her on a respirator so her body could fight the virus. But because of her background as a cyclist and a triathlete, her body started to fight on its own. She also credits the prayers and good wishes from the JDRF Ride family with helping her recover. Today, she's still home recovering and needs oxygen to help her lungs rebuild. But her ordeal has not kept her from being a JDRF rider. She registered for this year's ride, put on her oxygen and oximeter, and started her first Swift ride. She intended only ride a mile or two, but others encouraged her to go further, and she did. And she ended up riding 20 miles, which is like her own personal post-COVID finish line. Kimberly, we are simply in awe of what you've been able to accomplish against the most dire obstacles. And we look forward to riding with you virtually and in person for years to come.
And now, a message from the Mayor of Badwater, Coach Alan Rogers.
Good evening. It's been 12 months since you named me Mayor of Badwater. I gotta admit, this first year hasn't gone anything quite like I could have expected. I don't feel like we need to go into all those reasons right now, but suffice it to say, it's felt a lot like mayhem. Tomorrow, as we take to our bikes, your safety is our first priority. I'll be making appearances throughout tonight with safety tips. Thank you, and protect yourself from mayhem like me.
I'm Frankie Andreu, and I'm out on the bike for the JDRF My Ride. Normally I'm at the start line or the finish line cheering everybody on, but I'm doing it virtually this year. So be inspired, be motivated, and turn type 1 into type none, and have a great ride.
Good luck on your ride!
If I asked a bunch of JDRF riders to tell me what makes the JDRF ride amazing, there would be a lot of great answers. And I'm pretty sure that just about all of them would say the coaches. The JDRF ride coaches do more than just help us get our bodies and our bikes in shape for the challenge. They also help us get our heads in the right place. And of course, they're there with us mile after mile motivating us and helping us to get to that finish line. And this year is no different. And the names of our fearless and dedicated coaches are now on your screen. They knew that COVID-19 wouldn't slow down our ride community, so they stepped up and they helped us get ready for this year without missing a beat. And while they might not be physically by our side when we ride, we'll have their voices and hearts right along with us. Some of our coaches wanted to send a special message to the ride community to make sure that you all know that they're still with us every pedal of the way.
I know the last 6 months have been difficult. I too missed my training rides with my chapter and my JDRF national ride. But I want to thank you. I want to thank you for your commitment to riding your bike, to the JDRF ride program, and most of all to fundraising. So no matter what your JDRF ride looks like this year, remember to cross your finish line safe, sound, smiling, and under your own power. Have a great ride. Thank you, and we'll see you at the finish line.
First of all, congratulations and thank you. You have put forth quite an effort this year, both in riding and fundraising. So definitely give yourselves a pat on the back. I am so excited for our ride on Saturday, October 3rd. I cannot wait to see the great things you all accomplish as a community, even if it is virtually. Keep up the great work, and let's close out this unique 2020 ride season in a strong JDRF fashion.
Thank you so much for riding this year. Even apart, we're stronger together.
I'm a cute little tree squirrel. While I'm up here, I'm the epitome of athleticism and agility. But when I get on the asphalt, I become a fuzzball of indecision. Strap on a good helmet and protect yourself from mayhem like me.
Now at each traditional JDRF ride event, we ask all the new riders to please stand. Well, this year, for the JDRF My Ride, we need a much bigger space to fit all those new rookies. We've got well over 1,000 new JDRF riders joining us from coast to coast, which is just incredible. So welcome to the JDRF family, and thank you for helping us get even further down the road toward the end of T1D. And now coupled with our first timers are our veterans. So you're officially a veteran when you come back for your second ride. But we especially want to celebrate those who are riding their 10th ride this year. We've got some of those photos on screen for you to see, and we've sent them their special 10+ year rider jerseys to wear proudly as they ride. So thank you, and congratulations to our 10th ride riders, and no matter how many times you've worn that JDRF jersey, thank you for riding with us this year. During the pandemic, it's been tough to find motivation at times, but many of our JDRF riders have stayed motivated from the start to ride more miles and raise more funds to help more people for T1D. And they get motivational help from some of our generous partners who sponsored some of the JDRF My Ride Miles Toward the Mission challenges this season. For instance, the 24/7 365 challenge presented by Medtronic challenged riders to ride 24 miles, ride all 7 days during the challenge, and raise at least $365, or do all three. The JDRF My Ride My Story challenge presented by Team Fish ran in July and challenged riders to share their story behind their miles with a goal of sharing 500 stories and riding 50,000 miles. And the Livongo Go the Distance challenge took place in late September, where Team Livongo challenged us to raise $300,000 or ride 300,000 miles for the 300,000 plus emergency room visits that happen each year due to hypoglycemia. And we're not done with challenges yet, because our friends at Novo Nordisk are sponsoring a World Diabetes Day challenge for our ride community in November, where we're going to see how many miles we can circle the globe as we ride together, even when we're apart. So keep an eye out for more details on that one, and whatever you do, don't put that bike away, all right? So, thanks to all our partners and all of our riders who continue to put their miles toward the mission and take on challenge after challenge. The JDRF ride is made up of teams from all over the country, from chapter teams to corporate teams, but no matter what kind of team it is, teams are the backbone of the JDRF ride. And teams stick together no matter what, including this year. We've got lots of teams watching tonight, and a few of them wanted to pop in, say hi, and give give you some Zoom motivation, love, and thanks.
Go ride from Mountain West.
From the Greater Valley Chapter. Go team!
I-O!
JDRF!
Team Wisconsin is cheering you on.
South Carolina and Georgia are supporting you. Ride on.
I think that was good, the dog barking.
That was actually great.
I'm the sun. I'm a 10,000 degree burning ball of gas. And I'm ready to bake you right past bronze beauty into California raisin. Apply sunscreen liberally and protect yourself from mayhem like me.
Thanks for writing for me.
Thanks for writing for my daughter.
Thank you for writing for JDRF.
If there's a number besides the number 1 that resonates with the JDRF Ride community, it's 23. If you're new to the JDRF Ride, that number will become much, much more meaningful once you've heard the story behind it. One of our longtime veteran coaches, Tim St. Clair, joins us now to share the story of Mile 23 and why it means so much to so many.
The JDRF Ride community is made up of so many stories. Stories of perseverance and triumph, but also some stories of heartbreak. As a community, we recognize that while we've come a long way in the fight against T1D, and many, many lives have been saved by our work, we still have a long way to go. That's why tomorrow, while we'll have many, many miles to celebrate, we'll have 1 mile to remember, and that's Mile 23. Many of you will ride long distances tomorrow, so you'll get to have your own Mile 23 experience. And if your JDRF ride doesn't take you 23 miles, we hope you'll find your own Mile 23 to reflect, be it 2 or 3 miles in or whenever it feels right to you. We ask that you ride your Mile 23 in silence, to remember those who have been lost to T1D and who will always be riding by our sides in spirit. 23 is a significant number because it represents February 3rd, 2-3, the day when Jesse Oswager lost his life to T1D when he was just 13 years old. Since the first Mile 23 remembrance appeared on the Death Valley Ride after Jesse's death, it has become about more than one young man, about more than one grieving family. Mile 23 has come to represent the loss we feel as a community when any one person loses their battle with T1D. It has become our moment to reflect on the true reason we ride, to save more lives. On our traditional JDRF rides, Mile 23 has always featured several signs, one of which has the following poem. I wish you could have been there, for the sun and the rain and the long hills, for the sound of 1,000 conversations scattered along the road, for the people laughing and crying and remembering at the end. But mainly, I wish you could have been there. We're honored to have Jesse's mom, Michelle, riding her own JDRF ride tomorrow. To Michelle and to everyone else who has suffered the greatest loss, know that we are with you at Mile 23 tomorrow and forever onward until we find a cure for type 1 diabetes.
Okay, we're almost ready to sign off for the night, so you can get some sleep before tomorrow's big ride. But who am I kidding? If I know this group, and I think I do, even if you're quarantining in Antarctica, you'd find your way to socialize and maybe have a cocktail or two tonight over Zoom. Anyway, even though we're not riding together tomorrow, we want to make sure you stay safe. Remember that our amazing coaches and the rest stops and the route signage and all the support that we get on the normal rides won't be with us tomorrow. So you need to make sure you got what you need. And that includes your helmet, sunscreen, plenty of fluids, snacks, your phone, your wallet, all the normal stuff. And if you're a T1D like me, well, you got to bring all that other diabetes stuff along too. So please ride smart, watch out for cars, follow the traffic laws. We want you to cross your own finish line under your own power, safe, sound, and smiling, as our coaches always say. So whether you're riding outdoors tomorrow or even indoors on your Peloton or with the Zwift Team Type 1 and the JDRF MyRide100, be sure to use the hashtag JDRF MyRide to share your ride. Show us your start line, your rest stops, and your own personal finish line. Post a photo by 2 p.m. Eastern using that hashtag, and you might even be included in tomorrow night's celebration. So, we'll see you right back here tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, so we can celebrate together. So we started this evening with a great song, and in a moment, we're going to end with one too. And I think you'll recognize this performer immediately from his years of dedicated service to the JDRF ride. Mike Clark's amazing skills on the bike room, well, they're only matched by his skills as a singer-songwriter. No matter how many miles you ride tomorrow, no matter where or when you ride, you're proving that nothing can keep us down. Nothing can stop us from getting closer to a world without T1D. So on behalf of everyone at JDRF, thank you for joining us. Have an amazing ride tomorrow, and good night.
Hey guys, MC here, coach and bike room guy coming at you from Alger Bikes, the mothership of the JDRF bike room, and this is a little song I made up just for you. Woke up this morning, should have been in the cross. It's hard not to get thinking about all the cool stuff we lost. But I felt the blues come knocking, slammed the door with a smile. Remembering this message that it's about more than the miles. We're stronger together, we're making that clear. It's just that together looks a little different this year. We're out on the road, we're paying our dues. Riding for the cure, don't leave no time for the blues. We're gonna miss the beaches of Amelia, Death Valley's pool, them cool fire pits in Tucson, man, gee, would have been cool. Brothers in Saratoga and the bodegas gotta wait. We'll be back next year, man, that'll be great. We're stronger together, cause that's how we roll. Whole lot of heart and a little bit of soul. We're lighting the fireworks, we're lighting the fuse. Right in for the cure, don't leave no time for the blues. Together, you can take that to the bank. I figured that out in 05 with that first Kool-Aid I drank. We're gonna keep rolling, tell Phil's mama the news. Riding for the cure, don't leave no time for the blues.
I'm last night's 12-alarm chili and 6-pack of beer. And now that you're 20 miles deep into your ride, you're beginning to feel the pang of regret. And the trouble is, there's not a porta-john in sight. Eat smart, hydrate well, and protect yourself from mayhem like me.